I'm going to reference my most beautiful clients that I work with. And I do talk about this in my ebook that you can get on my website, rachelvarga.ca. And I really highlight what these people are doing. And these are women in their 60s. And they're coming to me for the first time. They have some wrinkles that are kind of bothering them, but they look so beautiful to me because they've cultivated those body, mind, spirit, energy practices. And there's a lot that goes into that. And they seem to get cultivated as you age because you realize I'm worth it, right? I can better look after other people when I look after myself first. It's like putting your oxygen mask on first, right? Before your little ones, right? And so there's that component. There are some people that see me, they've never done anything and they look great even in their 60s. And then there's other people that say have a skin type much like myself, a Fitzpatrick skin type 2. They don't have a lot of melanin. They hit their late 30s, early 40s, and they start to notice that thinning of the skin. They're getting that elastin and collagen drop off. So they're noticing more crepiness to the skin. Or another, skin type Fitzpatrick 3, after they have kids, they might have more melasma creeping up. Or people in their 40s and 50s getting that diffuse redness and irritation. And I really find that different skin qualities, because skin type is like really broad. There's a lot of things happening there. Different people experience different things, but I'd say pretty much across the board, age 37 to 42 is when there's a big shift where the skin starts to get a little thinner, a little drier, a little more crepey. And then we also go through this other big shift between the ages of 50 to 60. And there's a study on this actually in 2017 that's on my social media page. I think I posted it like earlier this year, where women's faces change shape 3 times faster than men's. So that's related to bone loss, fat loss, elastin and collagen drop off. And then that's when we start to get the sag. So I feel like it catches up with us, like all of us at some point, but those are the pretty common ages that I start to see. But even people in their late 20s, early 30s, they're starting to notice some more brown spots, red acne scars, forehead lines, things like that. So it really happens to everybody, I find. But the healthier you are, the more dialed in with your body, mind, spirit, energy, the better chance you're going to give yourself to age well.
That's awesome. Where can people find the different skin types that you just mentioned?
Well, it's not a matter of finding it, right? So It's not like, oh, I'm going to look in the mirror. Okay, I want to go for that skin type, right? What we want to do is, this is what I do in my one-on-one work with people. And I love doing this because it's all about just empowering you. Yes, you are worth it. You are worth it to look after yourself because our skin is a huge organ. And the skin cancer is one of the most prevalent skin cancers in the world. And you might not realize this, that 10% of all skin cancers actually occur in the delicate eye area, right on the lash line. So that's why taking care of your skin is not only like a beauty thing, but it's also a body thing too, because those skin cancer cells could potentially migrate into other areas of the body and actually cause other types of cancers. So this stuff is less superficial than what you might think.
That's scary that most of the skin cancers are on the lash line.
Well, not most, 10%. But
sorry,
if you
10%.
think about it, like with our body, right? Our body's pretty big. That 10% is really like your brows, your cheeks, your temples, things like that. The bridge of the nose is a big one.
Yeah, I've definitely heard it happening to other people as well. Did we talk about Hydrafacial, which is, I think, one thing you wanted to mention?
Yes. So this is an option for people. It's kind of like a wet vac for the carpet and upholstery, but for the face. And it's really neat because in my experience, pretty well people from various different skin concerns actually do quite well with them. But always check with your physician. If you're having like an active breakout of issues, then stabilize your skin first before trying to do a treatment. But I really personally like these treatments. If my skin's feeling like a little rough, a little dry, like say you've just kind of come out of a really bad eczema outbreak and your skin is like dry, scaly, and you're just wanting to improve that a little bit, especially on the neck, this can be really nice just to get rid of that buildup of dead skin and then hydrate. So it's like a wet vac. It pulls out dirt and debris from our pores and then infuses different solutions into the skin, whether those are antioxidants or peptides, or even giving your skin a really gentle glycolic acid chemical peel is lovely. But if you do have an active skin condition, you do want to just get checked out by your physician first. But typically speaking, things like the Hydrafacials are tolerated very well. There's always a chance of a reaction, but I don't recommend diving into those without first having your at-home skin routine stabilized, and then also then using that at-home, those skin products afterwards, because your skin can get quite dry and tight and irritated if you don't moisturize and sun protect it properly afterwards. So it's just as much what you do after, during the treatments, and before that really are going to give your skin the best chance to improve.
Thank you so much. And for those who are watching the podcast on YouTube, I just want to share that Rachel's skin looks so good. It looks so clear and just flawless. So if you ever want to check out how her skin is looking, just head to my YouTube page and you'll see her interview there.
I do a lot. Don't be fooled. Like my at-home skin routine is dialed in. I do at-home dermal rolling. I do red light therapy. And obviously I do different laser options in the clinic as well. But like I've said, and this should be really empowering to you guys listening. And thank you for the lovely compliments. What you do at home, I think, is the most important thing.
That's so important, especially now we're all quarantined, so we can't really go out much and go to a spa. And I actually wanted to go get a Hydrafacial, but that's when all the places started closing down. So I haven't had the chance to get it yet, but I'm really excited to try it.
Mm-hmm. There are some great things that you can do at home to basically give yourself like an at-home, very gentle exfoliation or chemical peel like treatment, using some really nice exfoliant products such as like glycolic acid, lactic acid, things like that. But it's not just about, like I said, buying those products. It's what you do before: cleanse, moisturizer, sunscreen, scrub, and then slowly start to increase those actives. Because if you just go wham bam into using, a glycolic acid product, lactic acid product, vitamin A or retinol product, you're going to get skin irritation. So it's all about stabilizing things first, especially if you have a skin condition.
And what do you think about people using the steam at home steam machine to help with?
This is really funny because there are gimmicks everywhere. And the gimmicks are actually really what drive me crazy, because and I'm actually doing a lot of work with some pretty big names in the space of beauty and wellness from some of the biggest publications that you've heard of that I'm working with right now. And that's the whole thing. It's like these products and these ads prey on you're not enough, right? So let's just think for a second how you could maybe steam your face at home. Get a pot of boiling water on the stove and stand over it. Hello. Do you really need to spend like $40 to $70 on this like tabletop steam thing so you can do it in your bathroom? Like, we have to get away from always looking for this gimmick and
there's some
these products.
There's some $300 and I think there's some $300 or $400 ones too out there.
What a joke. I'm sorry. I actually this is really key for you guys to know, because it doesn't matter what the latest influencer is telling you to do or these ads, because Instagram ads are getting very targeted. And I've seen a couple and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that product is totally full of heavy metals for it to be magnetic and things like that on your face. I think we've all seen those ads. But like the steamer is costing that much. Maybe if you own a spa, okay. But if you want to do a steam on your face, go over your boiling pot of water. But I don't do that. I just sit in the tub and let my face sweat that way, or just sweat in general.
That's a good alternative to spending $300.
Save your money, guys.
Yeah, actually, I know that we talked a lot about gimmicks as well during our consultation. What about the face masks that change colors and have like different LED colors like blue, green, red?
Yeah, it depends on the quality of the product, right? So if that specific product has been tested by third parties to actually test that the wavelength and the frequency and the energy that those products are claiming is actually accurate, okay, great. But there's a lot out there that are basically just bulbs with like a filter of like purple or red film around the bulb. And I mean, that's going to be very different than, say, using an LED light that is calibrated to emit a certain amount of energy at a specific wavelength, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily matter if it's more powerful, if it puts out more joules, right? What matters is if it's the right energy to get the right response.
Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that it's low EMF as well.
Yeah, EMF is really, that's a big one. And when I travel to different cities for different conferences, I actually pick up on it because I live in such a low EMF place. I live right next to a mountain. And
were you living near where Meghan Markle was living when she moved to Victoria Island?
Yeah, so it's not Victoria Island, it's Vancouver Island.
Oh, sorry, Vancouver Island, sorry.
Yeah, that little inlet where she lives is, it's just really beautiful. I think they're in LA right now.
I heard that.
There's a lot of, I love California. Oh, I cannot wait till all this is over and I can start seeing my friends and conferences and all that stuff. I love California. It's like, we're kind of like the California of Canada. So people live here to live a healthy life. There's farms right across the street. Like I can buy eggs from my neighbors. It's really, really great to live here. It is a little bit more expensive and you have to travel more. So there is that. You have to just see what's important to you. Do you want to live in the city for the convenience, or do you want to live in sort of like the city country and lower your EMF exposure? But say you can't really control where you live, get out in nature as much as you can. And my biggest takeaway for nature is really start to, this is going to get a bit woo, but if you know me, I'm all about diving into the woo because I've just seen it work for so many people with elevating their beauty and radiance. You need to find places, people, places, and things that make you feel really good. And your body will tell you this. And this actually translates into your food and your beauty products. Your body will tell you if something is a match for you or not. So there are certain places on this island where I feel really good. And when I go there, I get more inspired to write and get creative and just get into that parasympathetic rest and relaxation state.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And that's so important about just having that, just dialing into your mind, body, spirit and being where you feel most comfortable as well. Like that's so big because I think a lot of us don't really feel good on most days. And especially when people do have eczema flares, they're not always feeling their best or being at a place maybe that really inspires them or makes them feel good.
Yeah. And if you're kind of getting down on yourself, like I'm acne prone, right? So I'm going to get breakouts sometimes. Or my hair is frizzy, right? Like we could focus on these things that we don't like about ourselves. Or we could say, oh my gosh, like, oh, I just love my cheeks or my eyes or this aspect of my body. We tend to focus on the negative so much. So you need to shift that and balance that and put attention on things that you really love about yourself, like your kind spirit, how loving and helping, and you know, the fact that you serve and you create this incredible podcast to help people, Abby. We need to focus on more of that as opposed to, I have the skin condition. Mm-hmm. I have the skin condition. I have the skin condition. I have the skin condition. If you keep going in that cycle and not pull yourself out of there, you don't make room for all the other beautiful things in your life. We all have things that bother us. Mm-hmm. Some of us, it really does get to the point where it's painful and keeps us up at night. But do know that it will lead you down a path of really discovering yourself and really dialing in your health so that you will hopefully get to the point where you're able to keep those exacerbations under control and learn about yourself in the process of what your physiology really wants. But don't be surprised at when you go through different life events, like you have children or you go through a stressful personal or professional time in your period of life, or you stop having your period and you go through menopause, or your partner passes. Do you know that when you experience those things, you are likely going to have exacerbations? So what you can do on your body, mind, spirit, energy to keep your body in as much of a balanced state as possible, so that when those different physiological stressors come in, you can help to offset it because your immune system is stronger. And that's the bottom line. We want our immune system to be as strong as possible to fight off things like viruses, bacteria, deal with stresses in our bodies, and also to reduce the opportunity of eczema flare-ups.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you for sharing about how, the mind, body, spirit is so important, and just doing things that make you feel good and doing things that you love as well. I actually just had a recent group coaching session where I asked people to write a letter to themselves and also to write a letter to their eczema. And people had not done that before. And a lot of them had started crying, and a lot of them had let out a lot of emotions. And they said that it was just really, really powerful. And I think it kind of goes into what you're saying about doing things that help you feel good. Sometimes that might involve, releasing emotions like journaling, but also tapping into that gratitude, like you mentioned, and just being in that state where you pull yourself out of a state where you might be down or not feeling good when you're having a flare up. But yeah, I just appreciate everything that you shared. So thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, well, I'll just be really honest with you. I was dealing with, I still am working through a really bad car accident, right? So I was at a stoplight. I was hit by someone going about 30K, and I was turned to the right, and, my hand on the gear shift, hand on the steering wheel. And I'm dealing with some issues still to this day. And I was going to my healers that know my baseline to try and get me back there. And then my husband's like, Rachel, there's so much that you can do as well. And he's a pro athlete, and he's a 6-time pro world champion kickboxer. And he really gave me this is actually really sweet how he said this. He's like, Rachel, you have the power to heal yourself. You don't have to always go to these people. There's so much that you can do at home. So when we're talking about muscle testing, people will have different things as well, right? They might use a pendulum, or they might just simply do a tip test. They'll hold an object and they'll say, if this thing is good for me, I'm going to tip forward. If it's bad for me, I'm going to tip backwards. I mean, whatever. Is there science to that? I don't know. I don't know of any studies, but I'm sure there's something out there. But if it feels good, do it. The more that you can get in tune with yourself, the better able you're going to be able to give your body, mind, spirit, energy what it needs.
Mm-hmm. That's so important. And I'm so glad that, your husband gave you that wise piece of advice that you don't always have to rely on the healers, but you have the ability and the power to heal yourself. And I think that was just so important what he said. And it's so amazing that you're not just a skin rejuvenation expert, but you're also really tapped into the mind, body, spirit connection, because like you mentioned, it has so much to do with each other, and so many of our emotions and past experiences we've been to are tied into skin conditions and eczema as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just can't help but notice the common threads that you see in your most vibrant clients. I mean, it's as simple as that. Okay, what are these people doing? Because I want more of that. Okay, now how do I share with other people how to achieve that too, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the radiance piece. I can't rejuvenate someone's radiance. The radiance is truly, it's cultivated. So that's what I'm really diving into, which is a really beautiful life purpose, if you will. So this whole skin stuff, I think, is basically just a friend for helping people get more in tune with themselves and, feeling good and looking good in the process. It all really goes hand in hand. But the better the better you feel about yourself, how much more capable are you going to be looking after your son when you're feeling better about yourself, right?
Yeah.
When you've taken the time to appreciate something beautiful about you today, think about how much nicer you're going to be interacting with your son and, other people, places, and things. So if we could get a little bit more of that happening in the world, that would be really beautiful.
Thank you so much. Rachel, do you have any last words of advice or last things that you want to share with people before we end today's interview?
I want everybody to look in the mirror and look yourself right in the eyes. And I want you to tell yourself that you're enough, you're more than enough, and you're beautiful. And there's something special in you that the world needs more of. So let's just share some of that.
I just want to preface this by saying that I've tried that and it is so powerful. And I actually have a really hard time doing that because when I used to look at my face a lot, there would be flares, or I would wake up on certain days and I would never know if I had a flare. So when I looked in the mirror, I would equate it to fear sometimes. And then when I did what you were sharing, there'd be times I would just start crying because I realized like so much pain was coming up to the surface of like everything that I'd been through with, just like the whole, all the flare-ups with the eczema. But also it's been a very beautiful process too of learning to love myself for the skin and the body that I've been in, even though there has been a lot of painful flare-ups. But like you mentioned, I'm still learning to say that I am enough and that I am loved and that I'm worth it and worthy to be healed. But it's so important what you said. And I don't know if you've told your other clients this, but do they struggle as well with doing that, or are they usually okay?
Yeah, this is really interesting. So I think of literally my muse for my book and this work. And she's just this, well, it's not just one woman, it's a lot of women, but this one woman in particular. And I said to her, I'm like, you are so beautiful. And she's in her 60s, so gorgeous, right? She's doing all the things, like she's just such a knockout. And I told her, I'm like, you're very beautiful. And she started crying. She's like, what? Like, I don't really think that. So it's funny. It's like our perspectives that we have on ourselves can become so distorted, especially when we try and compare to other people. But for you and your skin condition, I have no idea what that must be like. But there are other people out there in the world that are so much worse off, right? And I'm not saying like one thing is better or worse, but just realize, like, I'm looking at you, like, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, like you are radiating this type of light. And it's because you're trying to help people, right? You're trying to help people with similar things that you're going through. And I would say that is really like living our purpose is really one of the cornerstones of beauty and radiance, right? Someone could have eczema all over them, right? Terrible flare-ups. But by sometimes even being in people's presence, you feel that kindness that comes from them. It doesn't really matter what they look like, where they're from, what they do, how they talk, how they dress, what type of makeup they wear. It's that inner stuff really shines through. And I don't mean to sound cliche, but sometimes we just need to remember that there are beautiful qualities to us, right? Some people, they might not have any beautiful quality if they're just a terrible person. But for the most part, I think a lot of us humans, we do want to do our best and help others in some capacity. So lean into that. And I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Mm-hmm. I used to follow him a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a live event with him in Portland. I think that was last year. And he does some really great work around mindset and how people can sort of work through having different things happening with their body. So it's just all about sharing resources. So he's a great resource that I like to tune into.
I actually love his story for the viewers who are listening about how I think, Rachel, please correct me if I'm wrong, but he needed back surgery and he didn't.
Yeah, he was in a really bad cycling accident.
Okay. And then he used meditation for, I think it was 3 hours a day. I might be wrong, but he used meditation
visualization
to heal his back. And so he didn't end up needing surgery.
Which I think is remarkable. And so he did a combination of like positive affirmation, visualization. And, I think there's a lot of power to that. And yeah, I think it's just a really empowering message that he shares, that you have the capacity to heal yourself. Your body, like I said before, wants to get into that balanced state. So if we just give it the right environment, and it does actually come into our mindset as well, when we give it the right environment to heal and just be how it wants to be, I think there's nothing but good that can come from that. But I mean, yes, of course, there are definitely some things that we need to put on the skin to look after this beautiful organ that we have as well.
Thank you, Rachel. That's so amazing that, you shared about Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's such an amazing resource that I think would help a lot of people. But also everything you shared today was also really amazing. And I think that it was really valuable for a lot of our listeners, because I think a lot of people struggle with looking in the mirror. And a lot of people struggle with feeling enough, especially when they have rashes all over their face or their body, or if they're in pain and it's just hard to move. So I really thank you for all the information that you shared today and everything that you're doing to serve the community as well. And if people want to find you and also learn more about the resources that you have, where can they get a hold of you?
I just really briefly want to say that if you are experiencing that, I have no idea what that's like. But I do know that the fact that you're working towards overcoming that is going to make you more empowered and a more stronger human, so that you can help other people, share with others what's helped you. I think that's what's so beautiful about the community that you're bringing together, because guess what? Healthcare is constantly evolving. The fact that we're looking at our genes now to customize our lifestyle and our skin routines, that's where things are going. So don't lose hope. There's always people out there that are trying to help you and help yourself, help others in the process. And it's all going to be a good thing. So you can hang out with me at Instagram. I'm at Rachel Varga Official. And then I have a joint account with my husband. We have a masterclass. He's a pro athlete. I'm like the skin, body, mind, spirit, energy person. So we just decided to join forces because guys want to learn how to look good and feel good too. So made it more kind of neutral in that respect. It's very cute.
That's awesome. You can work together.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, he motivates me. I motivate him. It's actually this really interesting balance that we have. And I hang out a lot on Instagram at Rachel Varga Official. I'm also on Facebook and my website, rachelvarga.ca. I have a number of resources there. The blog is where I put a lot of like the juicy stuff, right? Interviews, podcasts. I'm on Rachel Varga Podcast. But check out my ebook, Unlock Your Vitality. It's really affordable. That's a great place to start. You could definitely book a one-on-one call with me and use the promo code ABBYTY to get 15% off as a little gift from me to you guys. And yeah, check out the Unlock Your Vitality Masterclass if you're really wanting to learn what my husband, who's a pro athlete, does to stay motivated, get that mindset, what his diet and lifestyle is, and then, you know, how I kind of put that into my world and all this stuff. It's actually a really, really sweet offering. So I'm just here to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being on the show today.
Thanks for doing the work that you do, Abby, and helping all of you lovely souls listening to be as happy and healthy as possible.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Eczema Podcast. And stay tuned for our next episode. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass it along to your friends. Visit eczemaconquerors.com for more articles and tips. Thanks for listening.